It is approaching 1:45 on September 16th, 2015. I'm on the north side of the lane. On my farm, there's where my father's home was. Property now owned by Gary and Guy. There's my barns. This lane has been here probably for 150 years. I know the house was built, I believe, in the 1860s. This lane has been part of the character of the farm, from the cattle barn down to the pasture area. This was the way cattle always made it to the pasture. This huge boulder, close to 6 feet in height, has been tossed onto our fence. Just thrown in here, tossed on our fence, completely destroying this portion of the fence. And of course, it's just impossible for anybody to move that boulder without some extreme heavy equipment. Maybe 100 to 150 feet further to the west, two more huge rocks have been thrown into the fence. This is someone's idea of clearing the field, I guess. Still on the north side, the bottom of the lane, rocks thrown into this fence, which included some rail fencing. The fence was all through here, separating the pasture from the working land. But all this fence has been torn out. Not by us. And it looks like at least one more large stone has been tossed in that area. You see the dirt and stone, part of a tree. Large ruts through here. This is an area where we not only hope to pasture sometime in the future, if we can find a farmer that needs some pasture land for free, but also it's an area there where we utilize for ATVs. This is part of what's left of that fence that was here. These are the ruts that are now here. We had a few stones in this area and a couple of old telephone poles, but we'd always considered that to be a detriment and never sought to add to them. But all of a sudden there's cedars thrown in here, more dirt, more rocks. Very dangerous walking through here. And of course, completely impassable if you're coming down here with any kind of a four-wheeler. There was a gate at the end of here. Don't know if it's buried underneath this new pile of rubble. Again, we have another fence that separated our pasture from the working land. That was ripped up. Stuff just tossed aside. When I was here yesterday, I won't go back there, but I came down the lane, and right in that general area there's a hole in the ground, at least a foot deep. And if it were covered with grass, somebody could easily step into and possibly break a leg. So that's here at the bottom of the lane. More cedars ripped up. I've been talking with a cedar oil company out of South Hero who used to buy cedars from us to make their product when they were in Moore's Forks. So we're not looking to just have cedars destroyed. We're looking to sell them. The fence, I'm right on the fence line here. Fence is gone. More debris here. We would drive along the inside, the pasture side of that fence and drive through here. Now it's completely impassable. Rocks, the destroyed fencing, dirt and trees, brush are now blocking the path. I'm going to shut the camera off. I've got a high area to maneuver over, and we're going to walk down that way. Continuing to walk in a southerly direction along this tree line here, a little hedgerow next to the pasture. Come to another area where stones have just been tossed into our pasture. This time it looks like they didn't destroy the fence, but whoever made somebody think we wanted those huge stones sitting there, I cannot fathom. And maybe 20 feet further to the south, we come to another pile of stones. This looks like it did catch part of the fence. Again, into the area that we drive through. We have no desire to have piles of rock tossed serendipitously around our pasture. But there they are. And this is how those particular rock piles look from this side of the fence, the west side of the fence. This is the wall that separates Sam's farm. That was Sam's farm from my farm. And there is indication that stuff was thrown in from this side. I had indicated that That stone wall could be taken out, but I wanted the older growth trees to remain. I want some identity between the two farms. So I would assume that there might be plans to move some of that new debris out of there in the not too distant future to tie in those fields, but I do want the fields here on the south end of my property. I do want the main trees, the big trees, to remain. Now I'll walk back and go up along the south side of that lane that separates the barn from the pasture. Now walking up the south side of the lane, there's where the fence and little hedgerow was that separated that corner from the pasture. And another example of a huge amount of stones being brought in here, the fence being run over, stones being deposited. And walking down the lane yesterday, there's at least one, and I'm not sure if there were two areas where stones like this were thrown on the wall and then rolled into the lane. So blocking part of the lane with huge 3-4 foot boulders. But this is what was thrown in here. About 200 feet further east, large number of boulders tossed on the wall here, but I don't see any in the lane, and it doesn't appear to be any damage to the fence. And just maybe 50 feet from the edge here, don't think any stones were thrown across. That stone, that's the big stone there, looks like it's been there for a while, got moss growing on it. But the fence was definitely impacted. Somebody leaned heavily against the fence, backing up, getting in position, I assume. And there is a stone back there that got tossed in. At least one. I'm sure there's more. And not very far away, more fence being torn up as equipment got in position here in the field, pushing over the fence. And I don't see where any particular debris was, rocks or dirt was thrown in there, but the fence was certainly impacted.